Welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and let's talk about spoilers, sort of. New cards that are coming out. However, these are not actual new cards like a new set. It is mystery boosters, and they're just some funny cards. I just got to talk about this. I saw it on my Discord, and I'm like, man, I got to make a video about this because this is really kind of funny what they're doing here. And depending on how you feel about the current state of the game of Magic or the format, this is one of those things that I think we can sort of all get behind. So for that reason, I thought it would be a great thing to talk about on my channel. So they're coming out with these mystery boosters, and they are very unique. And in particular, they're coming out with a bunch of cards that have the Future Sight frame. And I have to do a little bit of a deep dive here, a little bit of a history lesson for those who don't know. Showing the Future Sight command tower on here. So they're coming out with a command tower with the Future Sight frame. And I have a feeling these are going to be very sought after, which is kind of almost ironic. So when Future Sight came out, way back in the day, it was, I mean, the set was aptly named, of course, because the whole idea was looking into the future. And I have encouraged you, my viewers, so many times to go check out that set. It's one of the most interesting sets ever made. It might be my favorite set ever, actually. It's so unique and interesting. The whole idea was coming out with all these unique, interesting mechanics that they would revisit. They were going to revisit later on. Some they have, some they have not. They finally made a new Gravestorm card. Finally, only one, but they have. They still have not revisited Transfigure, though, which, of course, has only appeared on one card, which is Fleshwrither. And while we're talking about Fleshwrither, of course, that has the Future Sight frame. Now, the Future Sight frame was the same as the mechanics, where the whole idea was introduce the new frame that they were going to use, give sort of a preview of it. The problem was everyone hated it. Everyone hated it. And I know a lot of people now will say, oh, I loved the Future Sight frame. I mean, maybe there were some people that did, but it was mostly the outcry of, that's hideous, I hate it. And so they never went back to it, right? Again, I don't know if they were actually planning on having every Magic card look like that, but there was an outcry when the Future Sight frame came out in Future Sight that everyone hated. I mean, I hated it. I hated it. Again, Fleshwrither, I love that card, but I hated the frame. I hated the Future Sight frame, and a lot of other people did, and that's why they completely abandoned it, and they've brought it back. And again, it's one of those things where it's been however long it's been. How long has it been? 20 years? How long has it been? It's been a while since that set came out, and now I think people have softened to it. And again, the whole idea of, alternate frames and alternate art, all that stuff is a thing that we just see in Magic so much now. I mean, compared to some of the secret layers that are coming out lately, the Future Sight frame doesn't look bad at all, right? Compared to some of that stuff. I mean, they got some wild, crazy stuff out there right now. So I think a lot of people are going to be real excited about this stuff. And in fact, I'm not sure how rare it's going to be. How hard is it going to be to get your hands on a Future Sight framed command tower? This might be really, really expensive, right? Some of these cards might be super expensive having these Future Sight frames. They got a Sol Ring with a Future Sight frame, right? How expensive is that going to be? It's going to be really hard to get your hands on that. Maybe, maybe not. I think certainly there are going to be people that are freaking out about these cards, and they might end up being very expensive because obviously the Future Sight frame only appeared in one set. Not a lot of cards that used it. And then obviously, if there are cards that are commander staples or staples in, maybe other formats as well, it's possible that these could be really expensive. Like, again, how hard are they going to be to get your hands on? I'm not sure. It is very interesting, though. Bringing back the Future Sight frame, I'll give it to them. That's a funny one. That whoever came up with the idea of let's print some different cards with the Future Sight frame, it's definitely an interesting one. Certainly, people are going to be going after them without a doubt. Again, I actually hope they're not expensive because, again, I've softened on it, right? Again, playing Fleshwrither so much, playing, what is the blue, the creature that has wizard cycling? Again, used to be the only card with wizard cycling. I used to play that one all the time in my commander decks. If I had a wizard, I would never actually cast it. I think it bounces a sliver back to someone's hand. I would never actually cast it. I'd always use it to go tutor for a wizard in the 99. I used to use that card a lot. So maybe using those cards has sort of softened me on the Future Sight frame. Now I'm kind of like, yeah, it is pretty neat. It's very nostalgic as well. We also, though, have, and this is one that, people are going to be really weirded out by, white bordered cards. They're bringing that back as well, which is really interesting. And of course, again, they're doing it with more modern cards. Seeing a Path to Exile with a white border, very weird. But even weirder is seeing something like Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Like a multicolored card, I think in particular, looks very weird with a white border. I know it's not entirely new, but the modern border with the multicolored, with the white border, right? All that together is just a very weird look. I don't think I like it. Again, it's purely subjective. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not. Like this Uro with a white border, like again, and even the legendary frame. So now you have that as well. So you have the legendary frame with the modern frame with the white border. All that looks very weird. Very weird. I don't know if I like it. I will say though, one of my 10 deck ideas videos, the last one I did, one of the ideas in there, a really funny idea, again, this is what the Commander format is for, doing, aesthetic things as well as strategic things, right? You can do the chair tribal and the ladies looking left and all that. And one of the ideas I throw out there is having a Commander deck where all your cards are white bordered. I hate white bordered cards. I refuse to have a white bordered card in any of my Commander decks. Again, everyone's different. For me, I would only play a white bordered card if my entire deck was white bordered. So if we have this white bordered Uro here, okay, now I can have Uro, because of course you need your commander to be white bordered, right? That makes it very limiting. So if they're coming out with a bunch of cards in these mystery boosters that are white bordered like this, man, that just looks so weird. Look at the bottom too, with the hologram and whoa, man, that's just creeping me out. It's weird. It definitely would take some getting used to. But now I can make an Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath commander deck, all white bordered. Very easy to do so. And again, that might be something, again, because people are doing this more and more and more with the alternate arts and the alternate borders and all that, maybe now the white bordered thing, people are going to start going after it. Now, so all those old like 4th edition, 5th edition lands, the basic lands are going to actually start to become expensive because everyone's going to want to get their hands on them. Stuff like that, right? Again, just like all the future sight border stuff it might actually be really expensive and really sought after. So it's interesting. Again, I wanted to make a video about this because it is very unique. And, I've complained a little bit, maybe quite a lot about what Wizards of the Coast has been doing lately. And this is kind of a neat one. Again, for me personally, I don't love the white border thing. Seeing some of these cards in white border is very weird. It's very off-putting, I think. I've never been a big fan of white bordered cards myself. Some people might love it. The future sight border, again, is something that I didn't love originally. And now I'm like, yeah, I think I've softened on it. Maybe I'll actually grab one or two for my decks. It is pretty interesting. So give a shout out to Wizards of the Coast or whoever's idea this was. It's a neat one for sure. So you guys let me know if you're at all interested in, I want white bordered cards, or maybe I want the future sight border. Some people might love them. You might hate them. It's all subjective, obviously, but it certainly is worth talking about. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. That is it for today though. And thanks for tuning in.